So, hello and welcome to my next chess video. This time I show you the game between Deep Fritz 14 versus Monarch 1.7 and I let them play the Dutch. To be exact, this position, this opening position of the Dutch. And this arises after the moves d4, f5 the Dutch, knight f3, knight f6, c4, e6, g3 and d6. And now it's Deep Fritz move, and let's see what he comes up with. Possible moves are bishop to g2 or knight c3 or even bishop to g5. Those three moves I will consider. Let's go with knight c3 to maybe prepare bishop here and e4. So let's try bishop to e6, bishop there, castles, takes, and e4. Let's say if you take, then you open up the f-file and maybe knight to here will pressurize this pawn. So you kind of have to push it. But then maybe takes, and some rook to the e-file. Doesn't matter about this knight, because you get this with check. And then you have to block with the bishop, and you have weakened all of these squares, so this might not be that great to take the knight. So bishop here is not good. I wouldn't play this plan, but we have knight c3 anyway, and the sovereign Monarch 1.7 with black calculates right now the move d5, which is kind of weird because he played d6 already. But let's see what he does. Let's say d5 takes, pawn takes, bishop here. Yeah, you have this beautiful square right here now, very much under control. And maybe now even c6 to solidify this pawn right there, so that this bishop is biting on granite. And yeah, but you also gave away this square, but this knight, the b8 knight, can come to d7 to add protection to this square. Also the bishop can come to d6 to add protection to this square right here. So let's see. d5 bishop f4 is the sovereign's line. d5 bishop f4 followed by d takes c4 and e3. I doubt that this will be played because the bishop should go there to g2, because that's the reason why I played this anyway. But we have to move d5. Now Fritz calculates the move bishop g2 with the line d takes c4 and queen a4 check, which would regain the pawn immediately also, but the bishop is on the right square, so I'd prefer this line. And yeah, here for example bishop there, because knight here would be risky because of knight to e5. Now you are on the pinned knight like 3 times and it's only defended once, so you kind of lose their stuff anyway. So for example bishop here, knight takes, bishop takes, pawn, bishop, queen takes. That's a double attack. So if you defend with the queen, you lose the rook, so you have to move the king, and this is not what you want as black. So that's why after this you should play bishop to e7. and maybe even bishop here. Then you get rid of this problem piece. You exchange it for this bishop. This is kind of a good setup for black though. I'd like this. Although you cannot play bishop here right now because the e6 pawn is under threat. So you have to play something like bishop here and queen here first, and only then play the bishop to this square right here, to the c6 square. Yeah, we have bishop g2, so let's analyze this position. Bishop g2, pawn takes, queen a5. No, not knight here, of course not. Bishop here. I will play and queen takes there. Let's say black goes bishop here. Okay, e4 is not possible right now, but you can just castle here. After queen e7, maybe black is going to play this one. Rook here to prepare e4. This is also stopping e4. And now maybe bishop there pins the knight. Again, trying to go e4. Castles, e4, pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, and now you have a real problem here. Also, this bishop is eyeing this square right there, so this is much better for white. So bishop there. To do something about this pin. So maybe queen here, but then takes, and still e4. Takes, knight takes, attacking the queen. Bishop takes, rook takes, and now you're again on this pawn, and you cannot really... yeah, pushing it is also not possible. So this might be a continuation for white. So let's say the bishop does keep protecting this square, so black castles immediately. But then you may have to face with this move. Knight takes, threatening a discovery. So let's say this check, picking up that pawn. So this is also good for white. So d5 is probably wasn't the greatest of all moves. Fritz is calculating after this check c6 and maybe even b5. Let's see, can you sacrifice there? No, you. But it's close because this knight has to leave and then you could sacrifice there. So let's say queen here. Now knight here and knight takes b5 could be a threat. So maybe a6 now to be able to recapture with that pawn. Yeah, we have this check by Fritz, and now c6 also. The sovereign thinks c6 is a good move. Let's see, c6, but this looks weird for black, this kind of structure. It looks to be something wrong here. So maybe not b5, but yeah, it keeps control over the d5 square. Also the e4 square is under control. So, and this knight might go here, but what are you doing with that bishop? That's the problem. Queen takes c4, b5. Yeah, this is what the sovereign thinks. b5 here. Queen d3 and also b4 to also kick the knight. Where is the knight going? This pawn is controlling the knight. Yeah, but you can try this anyway with knight here. And how do you defend the rook now? Also this pawn is also hanging, so you kind of give away a pawn, but not a piece, but only temporarily. So Also queen b3 for that matter is possible. So you cannot take this, but you can maybe play a6, and how many squares does the knight have? None. So this is probably the sovereign's idea. b4. Knight has to go back. Probably to here, to be able to come in here, to here, to support this knight, and to be able to come into that square. Bishop takes c4. But b4 you can just take it immediately, right? Maybe queen check, bishop here. Probably you are a little too late, so you cannot give up the knight immediately. So let's say queen b3. Let's go with the sovereign's line. b4, knight a4 is what the sovereign is calculating after b3. Knight a4. Yeah, this is also a nice plan. Come into here and also stop c5. But what next? Maybe a4. A4 can be played at any time. So maybe bishop here now to add more protection to the square and oppose the bishops. Hello, hello, as King's Crusher might say. Then maybe castling, and we have a very interesting position on the board. Before, let's see both evaluations. Also Deep Fritz thinks the queen b3 is a good move. 087 and 027, so Deep Fritz thinks it's better for white, and the sovereign thinks it's also only slightly better for white. And indeed we had the move b5 and now queen b3, maybe. I'll smoke a cigarette while commentating on this game. Be back in a second. We have the move queen b3. We have the move queen b3. Let's see what comes next. And we're exactly in this line with b4. Let's see, Deep Fritz wasn't thinking that b4 is the best move, so let's see, he's still on +1 already for white with knight a4. And indeed we have the move knight e4, a4. Now the sovereign calculates queen d5, which is very interesting. Queen d5, trying to exchange queens. Let's say you take this, then maybe c takes, and you have a very good lockdown on e4, and the bishop can come to either b7 or a6, and the knight looks a little bit stranded over there. Yeah, we have to move queen d5. Now Fritz thinks castling is a good move after queen d5. And we would have, I think, this endgame here. Queen takes, pawn takes, opening up the file for the rook. And yeah, this backward c-pawn. Maybe that's why Fritz is thinking that this is better for white. But let's see. Very interesting play from the sovereign. And indeed we have to move castles. And now the sovereign calculates not queen takes queen, but rather knight to e4. What's the threat there? There is probably no threat. Knight e4 or bishop to a6, as I was mentioning before. Going after this pawn right here, after the e2 pawn. Also the e2 pawn is pinned because of the rook, which is behind it. So let's say rook here. So to be able to move this pawn, maybe even to e4, but you always constantly have to worry about some, not this, some knight move. Probably not now because the d pawn would hang. So you might even go rook there. Rook to d2. But we have to move bishop to d6. After castles, the move bishop to d6. And now what? I would still go for this move. Or bishop g5 also looks interesting. After castles, then bring the rook where... Let's see. But Fritz calculates the move knight f to d2. After castles, bishop d6. Knight f d2, attacking the queen, but what about this one? Taking their... Knight f d2 takes on d7, here we have knight d2. Queen takes d4 probably. At least I will play this because I don't know what's the refutation. Maybe knight here, attacking the bishop, but the bishop moves. And then rook there. And the queen doesn't have any squares. So probably, and rook d1 is threatened. Winning the bishop. So, well, yeah, well, how do you prevent rook d2? Oh yeah, well, bishop here, rook d2, you have a square, one square actually, namely that one. But white is really active here. But what, yeah, white has definitely compensation for the pawn, but okay, Fritz is calculating rook d1 immediately, so that you can jump in here as well. So giving more options to white. Rook f d1, queen g4, knight here, and bishop there. So we have this. We would have this position. Queen g4, knight c4, bishop e7 is what the sovereign calculates. Bishop e7. So let's go with bishop e7. But this leaves that square under control. Uncontrolled, attacking the queen, attacking c6. So I kind of prefer bishop c7. Knight here, check. Maybe takes. Yeah, but what's the threat? If black just grabs yet another pawn. Rook takes here. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Bishop here. And bishop takes there. Okay, white is upper pawn, so that's the threat. That's the threat. So you kind of have to prevent this somehow. But how? If you play bishop here, then this pawn is gone. So you kind of have to play bishop there. And then don't know. Bishop here maybe, and if you take there, then maybe rook d1 takes the bishop. Taking there. Queen oh, you cannot take the bishop. The bishop is defended by the rook. Sorry. So yeah, this looks like very much a lot of pressure. To bishop d2, bishop to d7. Yeah, we have to move queen g4, knight c4, and bishop e7. Also, Fritz thinks bishop e7 is the move. So let's see. Let's go with bishop e7. Knight here. But what are you doing about this pawn here, right? This pawn is attacked twice, only defended once by the knight right here. And also the queen is under threat. Yeah, but if you go there, then you lose this pawn. This is also true. So kind of have to go there. Knight here is also an idea. Forking rook and bishop. And if takes, again forking rook and bishop. The rook has to move. Does it move? Probably here. Probably not here. Then it's attacked again, so probably here. Then you take the bishop. Yeah, this looks terrible for black. Everything here looks terrible for black. We have to move bishop to c7, which I was suggesting. Bishop c7 to prevent this, but now bishop g2 f3. Attacking the queen. That way. Also, this bishop is preventing this, any knight jumping in here. Also prevents any knight jumping in here. So yeah, now we have bishop f3 maybe. And now I can look at both evaluations. Sovereign is on plus 0.5 and Deep Fritz is on plus 2.07. So it's, yeah, I also only see a loss for, yeah, but we don't have bishop f3. We have taking here immediately, threatening some knight check. After takes, take, threatening mate. Also black cannot castle right now, because the queen is slicing all the way here. So black cannot castle. What about grabbing yet another pawn? Queen takes e2. Bishop here maybe. Or still knight there. Check. And if bishop takes, then queen takes, threatening queen to d1 check, winning the bishop. Also defending the rook. So you might have to move the bishop. Let's say you move it to here, but then still this check comes. Yeah, losing the rook. Okay, you either lose the rook or the bishop, so you cannot take the knight. So that's why probably it's not wise to take here. The move played was knight here and queen there. Now, still depriving any movements of the king. But now at least the sovereign prevented knight here check. Now maybe bishop takes e2. Queen takes e2. Yeah, we have queen takes e2. And now bishop c4 f4. Opposing the bishops. If bishop takes, pawn takes. Now knight here is a threat. A terrible one. Black is pretty underdeveloped. Bishop here is now the move suggested by the Monarch, followed by knight to d6, check, king f8, and knight a4 c3 attacking the queen. Queen g4, knight takes here, discovered check, king g8 and knight here, check, followed by, yeah, probably king here. And this looks pretty terrible for white. Maybe even some sacrifices are possible there. Rook takes, bishop takes. Oh no, the bishop is pinned, okay. So there are no sacrifices possible. Also bishop to e6 would defend here most probably. So let's see. We have bishop takes, probably g takes now. Or bishop takes d5 is also interesting. This is what Deep Fritz is calculating with plus 4.6. Bishop takes here. Okay, you have to take with this pawn, because otherwise rook to e1 would pin, and then you take the yeah, the king is on the run here. This is toast for black. This is toast. Bishop takes d5. It's toast. It's really over now. Very nice move here by Deep Fritz. E takes d5 is calculated by the Monarch, by the Sovereign, but then rook here just pins the queen to the king. And still, even if you give up the queen, then yeah, you have to move the king, and then this piece is hanging, and you kind of have lost the queen for a rook. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces each side, but a queen versus a rook. But okay, you can still eat this one, but I think it's not enough, because the rook will join in the attack. Rook here. If you go there, then you're faced with this discovered check, losing yet another piece. And if you go there, then queen takes here will lead to checkmate. So you kind of have to go up. Let's say you go here, but then again queen takes here, followed by this threat, picking up all the queenside pawns with check. And this will lead to mate, so rook here most probably. Yeah, it's not over till it's over, but it looks like it's over. After rook d to e1, Fritz is on +9, and the Sovereign is on +1.3, so both engines think it's nearly over. So queen here can be played, threatening this pawn, so I kind of have to defend it. Okay, this looks pretty toast. So the sovereign thinks queen e6, then rook takes, bishop takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, and queen here. And so bishop, or is there a way to save the knight? Check, you can also give it up that way, attacking the bishop. So let's say the bishop moves, and then the knight joins in the attack. Yeah, black has a lot of pieces for the queen, though. But also this rook can come in with check before you do anything else. Yeah, this is over now, because the bishop, yeah, now you have to give up the bishop. So the bishop might have to step back there. Still this check. Not that move, of course. That move, check. King here. Rook there. King has to go there, otherwise it will be mate. Now rook takes. Yeah, it's over. It's over. Also, this position looks pretty toast. G takes f4 even first. Calculated by Deep Fritz, so maybe G takes f4 is better than taking the queen immediately. Black cannot save the queen anyway. So G takes f4, say this, but we are still in this line, or not here. Here. So let's say king there. I don't know. Real infiltration points right now. And that can come in. Now bishop attacks the queen. And this might not be good. Yeah, but you have this check. But then the rook just blocks. So it's not so easy to convert this. Let's see how Fritz does it. We don't have G takes yet we have it. King f7, rook takes, bishop takes, knight here. Okay, why not take the knight? Why not take the knight? Probably because of queen here. Still you can go there with the king. Here. Takes. Bishop takes, knight here. Rook there. Rook there. Don't know. Why king f7? Okay, we have bishop e6, G takes f4, king f7 most probably. Let's see what's the threat. If you take the knight, Queen here maybe. There. Check. Check. I have to ask this later to Deep Fritz, because we have the move King f7 now. G takes f4 and King f7. No, Rook takes e6, Bishop takes e6 most probably. Another knight can hop in here or here. Both moves looks pretty deadly. Knight here. Maybe knight e5. Rook takes e6, knight e5. Or even knight d6. It doesn't really matter to analyze this. It's lost for black. Just a rook against the queen. I'll end this now after the recapture. And I'll ask Fritz some questions about this game. Let's see, well, not some questions, one questions. The rest I understand anyway, kind of, why these moves were played. So it was around here. Why King f7? Why not d takes c4? Let's go with d takes c4. Queen takes f5. Knight here. Rook takes. Bishop takes. Oh, yeah, okay, of course. Queen takes f5. And now you cannot defend the queen anymore. So you kind of lose back the piece anyway. With a vengeance. And yeah. Okay, thanks for watching and see you next time. Ciao.